All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on today. Scarlett, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and Leanne for connecting us, definitely. So today we're going to be going over our software Clicks and how it helps R+ Dog Pros create systems for more impact, less work, and a bit more profit in your business. And so before we just dive into, how to and whatnot, I just want to give you a little background on myself. So my name is Josh Bautel. I'm the founder here at Digiwoof, where we build websites, create marketing campaigns, provide software for dog pros. And before I did all this work at Digiwoof, I was actually a dog trainer myself. So for about 11 years or so, I ran a dog training and dog walking business in San Francisco before I realized that I actually had a passion for the marketing, less so, as much as it hurts to say, that the nerding out on the behavior side of things, definitely. So since my days as a dog trainer, when I focused on separation anxiety, reactivity, those sorts of things, we've been helping dog trainers such as yourselves create websites, build marketing campaigns, as I mentioned, and in our work building these systems for dog pros, we've been going about building a website, connecting multiple softwares, as far as one for scheduling, one for email marketing, another one for online courses, another one for your phone, et cetera, et cetera. And so we found that managing, learning, and paying for these multiple softwares adds to some overwhelm, definitely. So having to, learn them, keep track of them, et cetera, can be, a little bit much as far as, keeping track. So it can be really hard from a tracking perspective to get all of those metrics into one place to be able to make decisions as far as, what you do with your business, the marketing that you're doing, how you're performing services, et cetera. And then also software, the training for said software isn't necessarily geared towards dog pros. So, we're talking marketing lingo, not necessarily geared specifically for dog trainers to, learn and apply to the things that they're doing. So, and all of that together often leads to deflation and false starts, right? So even in the done for you work that we've done for dog trainers, where we would build a marketing campaign, build out a webinar for them, help them record it, teach them how to connect their ads to it, et cetera. We often found that, when we'd start getting towards the finish line of actually building out the project, clients would often feel a little bit deflated and have a hard time actually, moving forward with the actual thing we've built for them to, succeed with. So with that said, we've been working over the last several years towards actually providing our own software solution to address these issues. And so that is Clicks. And so before I jump into, features and everything that kind of goes into it, I just want to give you the frame of reference as far as how we're thinking of dog training businesses, everything that goes into them. So when we think of a successful business, we're thinking of a business that has systems that are connected, basically having things kind of run smoothly, having one aspect of our business lead into another, ultimately helping us grow without the overwhelm. So we're typically starting in the top right? So people are coming into our world with some kind of marketing, whether that is content marketing, we might have referrals from vets, social media, et cetera. We might then have some sort of sales process. So we might get on a free call. We might do an initial consultation where we then sell packages, et cetera, et cetera. Then once they turn into a client, we have the onboarding process of contracts, invoicing, payments, actually, welcoming them into our business, providing that, really good service. And ultimately that leads to re-engagement. So after someone finishes up with a class, if we've done a good job, hopefully they will want to leave us a review for one. So that's, adding to our marketing, our reputation. And two, hopefully we're re-engaging them to basically the next stage in our business. So if we offer puppy 1, can we let them know about puppy 2 and puppy 3, et cetera, et cetera. So basically getting them to recommit to working with us if that's a part of our business. So in each of these sections of our business, we have some different components. So when we think about marketing, we're thinking, people landing on our website for one. We're thinking getting them to sign up for some kind of commitment, whether that is a free call. Maybe we are doing like lead magnet kind of marketing where we're giving them something for free. Then if we do actually get them onto, let's say, a free call, we have those people that need to think about it. So we want to follow up with them. And then ultimately the people that, want to sign up, we want to provide easy payments. We want to make it really easy to onboard, both from our perspective. So having a way of not having to write the same emails over and over and, have to attach that same contract and, write up that same invoice every time. As well as, things like after class, having homework sent out, those sorts of things. When we get into, so that's service is what that, so service and re-engagement kind of go hand in hand. But basically, if we have people going through our services, they're getting this really awesome experience with the onboarding. During the service, they're, getting access to, maybe we have an online course that we've created in Clicks. We have these automated texts and emails going out to keep them motivated. That leads into systems that we might have on the end of re-engaging. So when someone finishes up with a class, letting them know about that next class, asking them to leave a review, checking in with them after, maybe a month after they finish private training, et cetera. So in current form, a lot of us are doing quite a bit of this manually, right? So from the initial contact, so they reach out via contact form, we respond and say, yeah, here are some dates, et cetera, et cetera. So that is something that we can automate. We might have scheduling, reminders for that scheduling. And then, if we're really on top of it, and we're doing things manually, we might remember once or twice to follow up with those folks that say, I need to think about it. But if we have an automation there that is essentially following up with them every little bit, providing more value, staying, in their world, we have a greater chance of moving those people onward. So does that make sense from kind of a full system perspective? Do we have any initial questions before I move on here?
Does this system include a scheduler? Oh, yeah, sorry, I see that written right down there under service, onboarding and scheduling. So that answers my question right there.
Awesome. Yes, it does. So I will dive into like the actual features and whatnot. But I hope that gives you kind of a broad kind of perspective as far as, if we had a system or a business that we loved, we would have different systems in each of these pieces that essentially, connect to one another. So with that said, we've created Clicks. So we're kind of building this as a all-in-one system that, for one, if you don't have a website, you can have a website. You can also connect to your current website if you have one. It also allows for things on the front end as far as a phone system for one, scheduling. So let's say you do a free call, for example, that you want people to be able to schedule. You can connect that to the system and your website. Also things like email marketing on the front end that can be really powerful for following up. And I'll just mention that we kind of drive this all home with automation too. So it's not just that we're building, a website or doing email marketing. We're essentially creating automations in our business so that when specific things happen, we have automations that take care of something that might have taken us, 45 minutes per client in the past. So if that all makes sense, I'm going to share a different screen really quick. Let me get there. Okay, so I am inside of a test dashboard here, and so this just has some sample data. So I definitely wish here, right? But essentially, you can think of this as a test business that already has data coming into the system that, where we've set things up. So we can think of this time period. We have 831 people coming in total to our business. And so that is generating like a potential value, for example. Now, when we think of our business, we can think of a client journey, basically. So if we are a private trainer, for example, let's say we have our business set up so that there is, they land on our website, then they sign up for a free call. Then from the free call, we have a few buckets of people as far as missed the call, the people we need to follow up with, the people that are like ready to get going. And then we have onboarding, and then maybe graduated, for example. So those are the stages that we can think of in our business. So this graph here gives us a representation of the layout of those 831 people, how they are actually falling into our business. So everyone comes in at the top, basically. So they might call our Clicks phone number. They might fill out a form, like a Clicks form that you can embed on your website or on your Clicks website. They might use the chat widget. They might do something on social media, et cetera, et cetera. So we're thinking of kind of the first commitment people make. They're going to come into our system as a lead, basically. Now, when they come into that system, into that section of our system, basically, or our client journey, we can have automations set up, basically. So for example, when they call our Clicks phone number, if we don't answer, we can program a text to go out that says something like, hey, sorry, I missed your call. I'm currently with a client. If you'd like to schedule a free call, click here. So that's one way of saving those, those calls that we might get and we can't get back to them right away. So they sign up with the competition in town, for example. So if they fill out a form, we can program automated, responses to go out based on how they answer specific questions. So let's say on our form, we have a question that is, how can we help? And we cover reactivity, puppy training, separation anxiety, and something else. I'm blanking, but based on how they answer that question, we can program different responses. So know that we can be very broad, just like basic responses, or we can get very granular too, as far as how we're responding there as well. So now from our 829 people, let's say of those 652 turn into a call, right? So once the person actually clicks on that email and schedules the call, that would automatically move them into our initial call phase. When they do that, it could send them a confirmation. It might wait until the day before the appointment to send a reminder. And then, like 30 minutes before, for example, it sends a text to say, hey, so-and-so dog training here. Just a reminder that I'll be giving you a call in 30 minutes. So So just know that when people do things, it can trigger things to happen, as well as when we move people, it can also have things happen as well. So now, when we have these metrics, this also gives us information as far as what we might want to do with our business. So let's say these numbers were different, and I'm noticing like, man, I'm getting all these leads, but only like 5% of them are turning into calls. So is there something I can do between here and here that might up that percentage of people? Can I send out an additional email to invite them, or, what am I doing to, scare people away, for example? Or on that call, let's say I can get people on the phone, but then only 1 out of 10 are turning into a client, for example. Maybe I can identify something that I'm doing in that call to maybe up that number. So just having some of these metrics can be very helpful in determining decision making, for example. So makes sense. Any questions here before I kind of keep going? No? Okay, awesome. So another way of looking at this is via our opportunities. So we can think of our client journey as far as, lead, free call, follow-up, onboarding, clients, graduated. We can kind of think of that as a pipeline, basically. And so know that these stages can be customized to your individual business. And you can have multiple client journeys. So let's say you do classes and you do private training. You could have, multiple kind of journeys, for example. And then if I open one of these up, you can see that we can change these stages to match exactly what we're doing in our business. But once we have that set up how we want it, when people actually come into our system, basically, again, when that is calling our phone number, doing something on the website, chat widget, social media, etc. On the front end, we're thinking they would come in as a lead, right? So form, phone, etc. Now, when that happens, they're getting emails and texts saying, hey, go schedule a free call, for example. That might not be the case for your business. So know that it doesn't have to be that. It could be something else that you're driving them to. But once they take that action and actually schedule that call, Natalia here, for example, would automatically be moved over without us having to do anything. So we would see, oh, they scheduled the call, so now they're in this stage. So then when I go to call Colleen, for example, so I get that reminder to say, hey, call Colleen right now. I can open Colleen up here. I can, for one, take some notes about the call. I can give myself a task. So if there's something I need to remember to do that might not otherwise be automated, I can basically give myself a reminder here. Additionally, if you're kind of like booking things yourself, you could book them in your calendar here. And something else we can do here is, so let's say I call Colleen and Colleen doesn't answer. Instead of writing out the email and whatnot, I could just move Colleen over, and that could trigger an automation to have a text go out in 30 minutes to say, hey, Colleen, I had you on my calendar. Though I know life gets in the way, this or that or the other. If you'd like to reschedule, click here, basically. So that would then, rather than trying to hunt Colleen down, we can just try a few times before we give up with automation, basically. If Colleen said, oh, I need to think about it, we could have it pretend this says follow-up here. We could have a stage that is follow-up, which could have, wait a day and send an email that says, hey, Colleen, great meeting you and talking about Fluffy. Please take all the time you need to consider. Here's some articles or this and that or the other. If you'd like to get started, just respond to this email or do this or that or the other, basically. So no, we can do those sorts of things. Additionally, we can have that go for a while too. So it could be be wait a day, send an email, wait 7 days, send another email, wait 30 days, try one more time, for example. Alternatively, if Colleen's like, yeah, sign me up, I could move her over into the, getting started stage, basically. So that could trigger, links to a contract form to go out. It could have links to go pay, or this, so it kind of depends on what we want to have happen there. Additionally, if, once they purchase the package, that could automatically move them over into active client, for example. Or once they finish a class, that could automatically move them over to graduated. So just kind of depends on how we want to set it up. So does that make sense from like a very broad perspective? Conceptually, any questions I can answer relating to that? No, okay. Hoping not stunned silence, definitely. So, so then I'll dive in a little bit just to so I'll kind of frame this from the very front end through the different stages of more commitment, right? So they come in as a stranger, do something for free, sign up, and then move on to client, et cetera, et cetera. So for one, if I go to this test account and if I go into phone numbers, know that we can add, select a phone number with our area code. We can also set up automations for that phone number too, that I kind of alluded to. So if I go to our automations, and I'm just going to go to our missed call text back, for example. So this is how all automations kind of happen, basically. But when one thing happens, we want other things to happen, basically. So when the call status is busy or canceled, or they leave a voicemail or we don't answer, then we want things to happen, basically. So for one, they come into that stage of our client journey, so the new lead stage. And then two, we want a text to go out. So, hey there, Josh from Digiwoof here. So sorry I missed your call. I'm currently between clients, but just wanted to let you know that I saw your call. If you'd like to schedule one, click here. So we might put a link in there as well. Then I could wait for a contact reply, or if they don't within 1 day, I might want something to happen. And so if they do reply, I might give myself a notification. If they don't, maybe I send a text and just say, hey, Josh from Digiwoof here, just noticed, wanted to make sure you saw our text, this or that or the other, do this other thing, basically. So that's one example of something on the front end. So again, our phone number can attach to our website, Google profile, etc. We can also connect to our Google profile and turn on chat for Google. And so when someone replies in Google Business Messaging, if you have it turned on, and if we have this automation turned on, then we can have an automated response go out, basically in that same platform. So it could say something a bit, more clever than what we have here. So additionally, I can program based on, getting a little nerdy, but I can program based on time of day of week, et cetera, et cetera. So if I want something to go out during business hours that says, hey, sorry, I'm with a client, I'll get back to you afterwards, we can do that. Or if it's something after business hours, it can say, hey, sorry, we're not in the office right now, this or that or the other. We'll get back to you, or click here to schedule, kind of thing. So we have that. Otherwise, on the front end, I did mention we have, so for those that don't necessarily have a website, you can build a website from scratch, or you can use any of our templates that we are adding to this library, but know that you can kind of pick one of these and customize it to your own business, for example. So this is just one example of a template that you could use. And then again, things that are on here, we can also automate too. So adding the chat widget, all that good stuff. So that's websites, kind of the front end stuff. I did mention we have a form builder, so you can use that for creating like intake forms, having clients submit records, files, photos, videos, that kind of stuff, as well as kind of like basic newsletter signups, contact forms, those sorts of things. We did also just release the ability to integrate forms, so they are pop-ups as well. So let's say you have like a lead magnet, for example, you're wanting to market, you could have a pop-up form go up on your website that says, hey, struggling with your puppy, download our puppy ebook, for example. So those are the sorts of things we can do from a marketing perspective, or in actual like service intake, check-ins, those sorts of things. Final thing that I'll mention, final 3 things, sorry, that I'll mention on the front end. So chat widget that you can embed on your website. So that is a way of collecting new leads from your website. You can program responses with that as well, time of day, day of week, etc. And customize this to your business as well. I'll mention the social planner. So if you are the type that cannot remember to regularly post on a daily basis, you can kind of plan things out for Facebook or Instagram or, TikTok, for example. And then we also have the ability for email marketing. So we have a builder that is, akin to like MailChimp or something like that, where again, with automation, we can we could schedule out our whole newsletter for the year or from week to week or however we want to kind of set that up. So questions on the front end of things? Anything I can clarify? No? Okay, great.
Can I actually have one?
Of course.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Sorry for being a little bit late, so maybe my question has already been answered. So where you had that bit with returning calls, that goes internationally, right? That could be any place on a planet. That is not limited to any like specific country or anything. Cool.
No,
that's a question I had. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, good question. Yeah, so we have most countries turned on for a phone system, but if there's one that we may not have turned on, we can certainly turn it on for you too. So short answer, yes. So then calendars, that is something I should go over a little bit. So I will preface this all by saying we have a big calendar coming up in, I want to say about a week, that is going to make class scheduling, for example, quite a bit easier, and like package type things as well. So I'm going to go to our calendar settings. And so I'm just going to create a blank one, for example. So we can either do round robin to where, let's say we have multiple trainers on staff and we're wanting like a particular type of count. So let's say we do like a reactivity calendar, for example. We have a few trainers on staff where we're wanting to kind of rotate the kind of share of clients. Basically, we can select, add different staff members, for example, and then prioritize for either optimize for availability or for equal distribution. Additionally, if I go to availability, so we have the we would set the slot duration, for example. So let's say this is a free call, for example, that we're trying to put on the front end where people might want to schedule. So we might make it a free 15-minute call. And we want to set the availability for, let's say we only do it on Mondays, for example. So between 8 a.m. and, 2 p.m. or something like that. And know that we could do like 8 to 2, 3 to 5, or different slots basically if we wanted. So then between 8 to 2, for example, I want people to be able to schedule every 30 minutes. So on the hour, half hour, or every 5 minutes. So 8, 8:05, 8:10, etc. And then as things often tend to do, they go over. So we probably want some kind of buffer on our appointments to make sure we're not bleeding into others, for example. And then if this is a one-to-one thing, we want to set it to 1. So, 1-to-1. And then I don't like doing 1 million free calls every day. So you might set parameters around, okay, I only want to do a max of 5 free calls in a day. We need some kind of scheduling notice. Maybe we want to create some urgency in them getting started. So we only show them our availability for 30 days out, basically. So that would be availability. So I mentioned that calendar update that's coming up pretty soon. That's going to allow for recurring appointments. To where we could have, book a package of 5, create a class that is 5 weeks long on these specific dates, that kind of stuff. So, but in current form, and for about the next week, I would say that the calendar is definitely best suited for like free calls. Private training can definitely work, especially, if you're doing like just one-offs, or if you're booking clients in the calendar, the reminders and stuff can still work for those sorts of things. Additionally, if I go to the final kind of setup, we can attach forms to our calendars too. So if this is a free call, maybe we make a free call form. Let's pretend that's that one. So free call form, so that they would have to answer these specific questions in order to book. If you charge for your calls, we do connect with Stripe currently. We are about to release a couple more Stripe alternatives for payment as well. And so if I had Stripe connected to this account, we'd be able to turn it on and then charge for this booking, for example. So makes sense from a calendar perspective. Any questions that I can clarify on?
I have a quick question about how the calendar availability might show up to the client. So like, do they get a list of dates and they choose what works best for them? Or do you basically push to them a few options and then they have to choose from that?
That is a great question. So I mentioned, oops, I closed it. But if I go to one of these, I'm going to do that. And so this is just one example, basically, and we could embed this onto your website or a fancier page as well, so it looks branded. But this is basically what they would see for a particular calendar. So again, I mentioned like we can set the availability to only show certain, like up to 14 days out. So I could have this so that, they wouldn't be able to see like the 13th onward, for example. So make sense?
That's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Of course. Okay, so that is front end sort of stuff. So I covered websites, I covered like forms and kind of automation for forms and calls and those sorts of things. A lot of what we do with our clients is like lead generation marketing, where it is, sign up for our webinar, and then they watch the webinar about some kind of topic that you cover, and they get all this value. And then at the end of the webinar, you're saying, if you'd like to work with me, click here, basically, kind of like what we're doing now. And so so we can do those sorts of things with clicks too. So if you have a upcoming webinar, for example, you can use our funnel builder to build like a sign up funnel, for example. So there's a form to sign up for it. And then we have automations that confirm, maybe send a few reminders leading up to the webinar, and then maybe a few emails after the webinar to remind them about your offer, for example. So we can do those sorts of things. We can also create online courses inside of Clicks. So from a marketing perspective, you might think about creating like a free mini course that you're giving people access to kind of get them familiar with you. And then again, you can tie automations in to follow up with them afterwards. Or you can create online courses that maybe you're wanting to create passive income for, right? So you can sell them inside of Clicks by putting them on a funnel or a website page, have people pay for them, as well as like during the course, maybe after they purchase, a week later, we send a like, hey, how's it going email? And then, you know, depending on how we have it set up, basically.
So can I just add something there?
Mhm.
So I didn't want to set up emails to go out each week after classes. So what I did is I set up a course and then I give them access. So they get free access, but then it's on a drip schedule. So at day 1, they get this one. And on day 2, they get access to the, you know, the next week. And so I found that way I could keep my videos more secure. So
Awesome.
that's how I handled that.
Totally. Yes, I love that you did that. Yeah, and we do have hosted video too. So you know, if we put video on like a website page, for example, like a funnel page, we're worried about like, what if someone that didn't pay for this gets the link to it? We can have the video on the page set to if they are not opted in, therefore they cannot see video, for example. So we can do those sorts of things. So, so that's definitely on the marketing aspect. So I went over email marketing, contact forms, all of that good stuff. We do have invoicing. So you can invoice folks manually. I'm hoping, hopefully this quarter, we will have like a create invoice action associated with automation. So when they are moved to onboarding, send them this invoice, for example. So that is in the cards, but we can also have people go to pages to pay as well. So we might have like a checkout page that has an order form on it that people then go purchase, which could trigger automations to happen to say, hey, thanks for buying this online course or this class or this or that or the other. So
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
Can this invoicing be connected with an already existing accounting software? So let's say I'm using QuickBooks. Can this be integrated so that it can automate the invoice without me having to manually do it in QuickBooks? Or would I have to be doing it like twice?
That is a great question. So if you're doing invoicing in QuickBooks and we're thinking, okay, when, so for example, how I might think of this is I get on a assessment with Suzanne here and they're like, yeah, sign me up for the package. When I move Suzanne over to package, that would create invoice, send invoice basically. So you can connect to QuickBooks via, so we do have an integration with QuickBooks, but it doesn't necessarily mean like make this thing happen and send it. But we can connect via Zapier as well. So Zapier.com. So that space, so we have a connection with Zapier to where when someone is moved to package, create invoice in QuickBooks, for example, that sort of thing can happen. So
Cool.
awesome. So
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So then outside of like the front end things that I think can be very powerful, I will point out conversations for one. So you can bring in conversations from social media. We're going to be, we've just released two-way email sync for Outlook. I'm hoping this week we'll be releasing a two-way sync for Google as well. So you could just bring your inbox here without a problem. But otherwise, like if there's some kind of automation that happens, so we can see here, I did a test, I called this number and I can see this text went out. It wasn't successful, but we can see that too. So then if I wanted to follow up with this client, I could text them. If I had their email, I could email them as well and see what is happening basically. So then if I go to a particular, so I can go to contacts then as well. So this is a way of kind of having all contacts in one place. So I mentioned bringing, social media, any marketing that you're doing, clients all into one place. And then we can segment them as well with smart lists. So I might segment them via tags, for example. So I could have an automation that tags people after they pay client, for example, and then that might segment down to all the people that are tagged client, show them here. So maybe I then want to select all my clients and send an email about an opening or something like that. So, or I can take that a step further and tag all the people that answered, help me with puppy training. I could tag them puppy. All the people that asked about reactivity, I could tag them reactivity, etc. That way I can kind of segment down. And then let's say I release a new reactivity course. I have all these reactivity dog owners to, send it to, for example. So if I go into a contact, oh, don't fail me now. You can do it. Again, test information basically, but if I had things going on with Brooke here, I would see all of the conversations or email threads. I could email from inside of here. Additionally, we have these different folders over here. So contact, general info, additional info. We can customize those as well. So maybe we want a contact, we want vet information, dog information, for example. So we could customize that way. Or maybe we work with households that have multiple dogs. So then we do contact info, dog 1, dog 2 info, for example. From this view, I can see like what automations they're in, if they are, what section of my opportunities they're in. And then I can, for example, I don't have any online courses in this account, but if I did, I could grant them access from here too. So, but again, a lot of that stuff can be done with automation so that you're not even having to do a lot of those things, but you can. So, then finally, let me just make sure. So reputation reporting. So if you are running ads, for example, to either Google or Facebook, you can connect your account and that brings in data to one place. For example, that I think that can be very powerful because then we're not trying to compare data from Facebook to data to what's in our, CRM to what's in MailChimp, for example. This way we kind of have a good, standing of the whole kind of atmosphere of our business. So, so that's kind of feature wise. Is there anything in like specifically anyone is wanting me to like click into and show you? I definitely don't just want to say, ooh, look at this, look at this, look at this. So
This might be the next thing you talk about, but I see something that says reputation with a star next to it. Is that when you ask people for reviews?
Exactly. Yes. So on the back end of things, so I mentioned after someone finishes a class, for example, at the end of the automation for our class, so let me find our linear class here. There we go. So when someone purchases, pretend that says puppy class, for example, we then bring them into our pipeline. We set the date for week 1. We then, remind them leading up to it, et cetera, et cetera. So pretend this is for the full 5 weeks, basically, with reminders leading up and homework after classes as well. So after week 5, we then might wait 2 days just to let it sink in, and then send a review request, and so then we can either send an email or an SMS, so that way we're not having to do it manually, for example. So but we can do it manually too. So if I go to reputation, so actually I'm going to go to review settings. So we can set kind of like a standard review, like this is our language we use for review, like asking for a review, for both text as well as email down here. So and then if we want to display this on our website, our reviews, we can use this widget that you can embed as well. So make sense? Awesome. Okay, cool. So then I'll just kind of point out like support things that we're trying to do. I realize there is a lot here, definitely, and I'm hoping you're kind of seeing like the possibility in your business. But that said, I also realizing that so much possibility can lead to overwhelm. So we are here to help. So for one, I will point out our help library. So we do have 200 plus videos and articles about like specifics around, how-tos. We do have chat support 24/7. So you can use that as much as you would like. And then we do offer twice monthly user trainings, usually on Saturday mornings, twice a month, where that's like we're going over something specific. So this last one was about setting up your client journey. I forget what the next one is, but basically like specifics about how to use something or how to do a specific kind of, automation or this or that. And then we also have office hours with me, which are Tuesday through Saturday. 11 a.m. Pacific. And so that is to, if there's like something very specific that you're wanting help, like strategy wise or whatnot, that's with me. So that's kind of support that we're offering. And we are pretty soon going to be releasing a new lead magnet library for users to use. So basically, like lead magnets on different training topics that you could then take and brand to your business, put your website URL on it, and create those sorts of campaigns and whatnot. So I think that's what I have for you as far as features and all the cool things we have going on. Before I let you know about offer for CAPDT members, anything I can clarify on or show you before we kind of finish up on that?
Earlier on, you were talking about like when it triggers sending additional, information, or maybe it, Leanne was talking about having drip content for classes. Is that kind of somewhere in there where you might be able to have a file folder of all of your commonly used handouts, so that if someone says, oh, how do I do potty training, you could just be, oh, I'll send you that form, and you can just attach that to their emails from right in there?
That is an awesome idea. Yeah, so we could do that via a automation. So we could have an automation that is basically, wouldn't necessarily have to have a trigger, but it would just basically be send such and such handout. So if there's like an odd client that says, hey, I lost the handout to that, week 3 homework or whatever, you could have the week 3 puppy homework automation. Then you could just go to that person's contacts and basically drop them in there. So that would send that email, for example.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so if I go to Brooke, then I can just go down to automations and we could say, oh, add them to the puppy week 3 or whatnot. I could also set like, wait a few days to do it, for example. So does that answer that?
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I will just finish up by mentioning offer for CAPDT members. So you can go to our website.com/CAPDT, where you can collect on this if you find it useful and learn more, a bit more about clicks too. So we do have a 20-minute demo that kind of walks you through a lot of kind of what I've gone over today as well. And so you can start a 14-day free trial, and then we are also offering a discount on account setup for CAPDT members. So we offer basic account setup that is normally $3.99. We're going to knock $100 off of that for CAPDT members. So, a lot of the overwhelm that we find with our clients is like, oh my gosh, we can do a lot here and it's kind of overwhelming. So quite a few folks, have us set up for them, teach them how to use it and kind of get things going so that they can kind of dip their toes in stuff rather than, trying to build it from scratch necessarily. So that's what I have for you.
I would highly recommend that people spend that money to get them to build the automation and everything, because as you start using it, it gets easier and easier. But at the very beginning, it would be tough to go from scratch. I'd rather be training dogs myself.
Yes, totally.
Can I ask a question? How long does this account setup usually takes and what it looks like?
Yeah, so that is a great question. So you would sign up for it, and then it depends availability that we have on the calendar that is associated with these account setups. But we could basically do the account intake session, where that's where we'd be meeting, I'd be recording it, and kind of outlining your client journey. So like, tell me about the services you offer. Okay, how do they find you? What happens then? And then what happens? Have you considered this or that or the other? We kind of outline that stuff. It takes us then a little over a week, I'd say, to build out the account. At that point, we then send several videos that kind of lay out the different stages so you can kind of take it all in. At that point, there's a little bit of tweaking to do probably. So it's, like, oh, did you think about this? And I probably didn't. So then we might need to tweak some stuff. We generally go through a little bit of back and forth before finalizing and then filming like final videos that you can like refer back to and whatnot. And we do also do a handoff session. So does that make sense?
So by the videos, you mean video of the actual journey of my own personal account, that how you set it up so I can use it as a guide? Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'd be saying like, okay, so your clients would land on your contact page. And so when they fill out this form that we have here inside of your Clicks account, this is the automation that's associated with it. When they do that, this other thing happens, and then this other thing happens, et cetera, et cetera. So make sense?
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. And so with that, account setup, we're also doing connecting your domain if you have a current website, so you can, have pages linked to your websites rather than, just a random link, for example. We'll help you set up phone, calendar, and then we're typically building out several template pages that we can use for different things that we might want to use in the future, whether that's like an ebook sign up, webinar sign up, or class sign up, or whatever it is. So makes sense. Any clarifying questions there? No? Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me today and spending your Tuesday with me. If any questions arise from this, I know I threw a lot at you, definitely. You can certainly come to our websites and use the chat widget to reach out to me. I'm super happy to schedule a call, anything like that, if you have anything specific about your business. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking with us today, Josh.
Of course. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.